Chapter 1. In the Beginning. It was an ordinary day in the small town of Shiloh. Summer was ending, and kids were getting ready for the new school year. Most children found their return to school as an unhappy experience. One little girl, however, could not wait to start. Yes, today was an ordinary day for everyone, except Sophia Quaid. Today was her first day of kindergarten, and she could hardly wait. Sophia rolled around under her covers, impatiently waiting for her alarm clock to go off. She hadn't slept much the night before. The excitement was too great. Her mother kept telling her how wonderful school would be, and all the new friends she would make. Sophia crawled out of her bed and felt around for her lamp switch. She could wait no longer. After flicking the light on, she ran over to her Sesame Street backpack and began taking out her new school supplies, just to look at them one more time before being able to use them at last. It was hard for her to keep away from the new box of crayons. They were all so sharp and ready to be used. She was startled when her alarm clock went off next to her. She smiled and returned her school supplies to her backpack. Sophia's mother walked up the steps to her daughter's bedroom. She hoped Sophia would have a good first day. It was hard for her to let Sophia out on her own. She was very protective of her daughter. Unfortunately, she had a feeling her overprotective nature had done more bad than good. Sophia didn't know anyone else her age. She had always been shy and was never pushed to talk to other children. Her mother hoped Sophia would be able to break out of her shell, especially now. Their little family would soon grow. Sophia's mother was pregnant with triplets, and was afraid Sophia wouldn't like sharing her with 3 little sisters. Maybe if Sophia were focusing on new friends and school activities, she wouldn't mind the change. She slowly opened the door and looked around her little girl's room. She spotted Sophia at her dresser, putting on a polka-dotted shirt with striped pajama pants. "Honey," she said with a warm smile, "you can't go in that." "Here, let me help you." Sophia's mother knelt down by the dresser to offer a hand. "No, I want to do it all by myself," cried the little girl. She folded her arms, as if to prepare for a temper tantrum. Her mother tried to pick out a new outfit, despite Sophia's objections. After a little argument, Sophia went with the outfit her mother picked out for her, a pair of jeans with a light purple t-shirt. She brought Sophia into the bathroom and started brushing her red hair gently. Her big brown eyes looked up at her with excitement. "Mommy," the little girl said, "I'm hungry." "You're hungry?" her mother repeated. She tickled Sophia's belly, causing the little girl to squirm around. "I guess it's a good thing I bought your favorite breakfast for your first day." Sophia gasped. "Strawberry Pop-Tarts?" "That's right," she answered. Sophia ran down the steps to the kitchen, with her backpack still strapped around her shoulders. She was afraid she'd forget to bring it if it wasn't constantly nearby. Sophia's dad was sitting at the table, painting a picture, when he heard his daughter running down the stairs. "Walk, sweetie. You don't want to trip, do you?" he asked before seeing her. She entered the room and looked up at him innocently. "You might fall and get a bump on your head," he warned. He tried to sound stern, even though he couldn't wipe the smile off his face. Seeing his little girl so excited for the first day of school was quite a sight to see. "Sorry, Daddy. I'll be careful now," she reassured. She grinned her little grin that melted everyone's heart. He knew he couldn't even pretend to stay upset with her for too long. Sophia's dad made her breakfast, but as quickly as he set the Pop-Tarts on the table, she snatched them up, and they were gone. She jumped off the chair and grabbed her backpack once again. It looked much too big for such a tiny girl, but she didn't mind. "I'm leaving, Mommy," Sophia yelled, then quickly ran out the door and into the car. "Honey, I think our little schoolgoer is in a bit of a hurry," Sophia's dad joked. "I know," her mother replied upon exiting the kitchen. "I better get out there before she starts honking the horn." She looked out the window at her eager little girl. "I think school will be good for her," she said, hoping it'd be true. Her father nodded and sipped on his orange juice. Sophia's mother grabbed the car keys off the kitchen counter and walked out the front door. "Now remember, sweetie," Sophia's mother said during the drive to the Shiloh Elementary, "listen to what the teacher says, behave, and treat the other children the way you want to be treated." Even though she tried to be good and listen, Sophia was having a hard time doing so. She was easily distracted by the ability to roll the car window up and down with the flick of a switch. Her mother watched her for a moment, then shook her head. "Just try to have fun. Okay, honey?" They parked the car in front of the school. Sophia jumped out quickly and looked around. Her mother grabbed her backpack, then took her little hand, and the two of them walked up to the school doors. Sophia couldn't keep from looking over her shoulder. She wondered where all her new friends were hiding. Room 135. This must be her classroom. Sophia peered into the room. Her excitement quickly turned to worry as she looked out at all the other children. This wasn't what she'd expected at all. "Mommy," Sophia whispered nervously, "I don't want to go to school anymore." She hid behind her mother, trying her best not to be seen. "Come on, honey. I know you'll love it if you give it a chance." They entered the classroom, and immediately Sophia's mother was greeted by the teacher. Sophia remained in hiding, holding her mother's hand tight. "Hello, Sophia. I'm Miss Cadoodle," said the kindergarten teacher with a welcoming smile. She knelt down to Sophia's eye level as she spoke. "I think you'll really like it here." She held out her hand for Sophia to take. Sophia looked at her mother, then back at her new teacher. She was hesitant, but took her teacher's hand. "Goodbye, honey," Sophia's mother said as she left. Sophia waved to her, then started walking around the room with Miss Cadoodle. The classroom was decorated with colorful pictures on the walls and multiple bins filled with toys to play with. The two of them walked outside to find a few children playing on the playground. They stopped in the sandbox right next to the door. The teacher pointed to a little girl building a sandcastle. "This is Lydia," Miss Cadoodle introduced. "I think you two would make great friends." The little girl had blonde, curly hair, neatly put up in pigtails. She wore a little pink t-shirt with a matching skirt to her knees. Miss Cadoodle returned to the classroom, leaving Sophia alone with Lydia. Sophia could see her teacher from the windows overlooking the play area, but she still felt abandoned. "Hi, I'm Lydia," the little blonde girl said with a giggle. Her voice was very high-pitched. "I know Miss Cadoodle from the school in summer. I don't think I saw you there. What is your name?" she asked happily. Sophia just stared at the chatty little girl. She didn't know what to say. "Hello," Lydia said, standing up from the sand. "My name's Sophia," Sophia replied meekly. She shoved her little hands in her pockets and looked at the ground for a moment. Lydia tapped Sophia's arm and screamed. "Look out!" she warned before hiding under her sandcastle. Sophia curiously turned to see what was going on. A giant sand rock flew through the air and hit her right in the eye. "Yuck!" she cried. Sophia brushed off the sand and looked around to see what had done such a thing. Across the little playground, on the very top of the jungle gym, stood 3 boys laughing and pointing in Sophia's direction. It was clear, in a 5-year-old's eyes at least, that the trio of boys had turned the once innocent jungle gym into their army base. One of the boys held up another sand rock from his shirt. "We are the mighty squad of doom," he yelled. "No one can stop us." He threw a dirt rock at the girls once more, and the boys' laughter continued. "If you think you're so tough, try to pick on me," yelled a girl from behind Sophia. The girl hurled a handful of sand rocks all at once. The boys looked surprised by this, but also happy to have a responsive enemy. "They've been throwing those icky things ever since I got here," Lydia complained. She had her hands on her hips as she spoke. "So I hired Tommy to be my bodyguard." "Hi, nice to meet you," said the strange little girl. She held out a dirty hand for Sophia to shake. She wore baggy boy clothes, which looked like hand-me-downs. Her beautiful dark green eyes stood out very well against her tan skin, and her little voice oozed with confidence. Sophia couldn't help being in awe of her thick brown hair stopping in her waist. She had never, in her short life, seen hair so long before. "But isn't Tommy a boy name?" Sophia asked. "Yeah, it is. My real name is Tamara. I hate my name, so I tell people to call me Tommy instead," she explained. "Oh," Sophia said, still a little confused. "Those boys over there are troublemakers," Lydia said angrily. Her face turned red as she pointed at each boy. "That black-haired one is Kevin, that blonde one is Darren, and that brown-haired one is Alex." "You have cooties, nana-nana-boo-boo," yelled the boys. They stuck their tongues out at the girls and began laughing once again. "No, you do," Tommy screamed. She threw another sand rock in their direction. The boy named Kevin was hit, now covered in dirt. "You will pay," he yelled to her while shaking his fist. "Girls can't fight," Darren teased with a confident smile. "Just watch me," Tom yelled to them. She threw another sand rock, knocking Darren right over. Alex looked at his fallen teammates. "This is war," he vowed happily. The kids had a sand rock fight until the playtime was over. It was something Sophia had never seen before. A battle on the first day of school? What a strange place this was. After finishing the first day of school, Lydia, Tommy, and Sophia walked out the front doors of the elementary school. The 3 talked about their day while waiting for their rides. "You know, you guys aren't half bad," Tommy said with a smile. "That's what my brother always says. He's 12, so he's cool." "Wow, your brother's 12 years old?" Sophia said, astonished. "That's like really old," Lydia added. "Well, I'm cool too. I watch on TV," she said as she acted like a teenager. Tommy just rolled her eyes. "My bus is here," Tommy said quickly. She jumped on a bus with a group of other kids. She took a seat by the window and waved to her new friends. "My brownies troop is here. See you tomorrow, Sophia." Lydia ran to an expensive-looking car with a bunch of other little girls in bright-colored clothes. "Sophia," called a familiar voice. "Mommy!" Sophia yelled. She ran up to her car and got inside. Her mother helped her fasten her seatbelt, then drove off down the road. Sophia was exhausted from her long day of kindergarten. She stretched out her arms and snuggled up to the back of the seat. "So, what did you learn in school today?" her mother asked curiously. She was expecting Sophia to say something about the alphabet or numbers. "That boys have cooties," she answered happily. Her mother laughed and looked at her daughter from the rearview mirror. She was about to ask what made her say that, but Sophia was already falling asleep. "I think school is good for her," her mother said to herself quietly. She drove down the quiet streets, up to their house, while Sophia rested her eyes. Life was just beginning for the little girl. The journey was uncertain, but hopefully it would be worth it in the end.